Hello, I'm Joe, and welcome to our brand new series of movie reviews. Today I'm going to be talking about Avengers Infinity War. As you can see, I'm wearing my Star-Lord jacket, especially for this. Figured it was as good a time as any. First off, I just want to congratulate Marvel Studios on 10 years. I and many others have been with you since the very beginning, and you haven't let me down yet, so keep up the good work. So, just in case anybody's scared of spoilers, I'm going to be saving those for later in this video. To begin, I'm going to talk about some general thoughts on the movie, which is going to be pretty difficult considering everything in this movie is a major spoiler. So, wish me luck. First off, without a doubt, this is Marvel's darkest movie, tonally speaking. That said, I was pleasantly surprised at the abundance of humor in this movie. As odd as it might seem on the surface, this is simultaneously Marvel's darkest and one of their funniest movies. But they always found the right balance. It was very rare humor undercut dramatic tension, which sometimes Marvel movies have been known to do. Branching off onto my thoughts about this darker tone, I found this movie to be genuinely scary. I can't remember the last time I saw a movie, be it a Marvel movie or just any movie in theaters, and I was genuinely on the edge of my seat. This movie was intense all the way through. From the very first scene, this thing doesn't pull any punches. You know what you're in for within the first 5 minutes. I think part of the reason this movie was so intense was because Marvel Studios did such a good job of keeping spoilers out of their marketing. I had absolutely no idea what was going to happen during this movie. Absolutely everybody in this cast came to play. They all did their parts fantastically. I had my favorites, but I'll get into those later, because they were not who I thought they'd be. Thanos is a fantastic villain. Marvel's been criticized in the past for their villain problem. Essentially, their villains are either not very memorable or not very good, usually a bit of both, but Thanos delivers. I think the main reason why is because the movie goes out of its way to flesh out his motivations. By the end, I was honestly nearly siding with him. Make no mistake, this is Thanos' movie. If anything, it's the Avengers who are the antagonists to this movie. So, there is a post-credits scene to this one, and I have to say it was absolutely worth it. So, if you're going to see this in theaters, stay around for it. That's about all I can say without giving much away, so now let's dive into spoilers. Because I don't like leaving things on downers, I'm going to start off with the negatives before talking about all the things I liked. So, not to say it was bad by any means, but my least favorite storyline by far was the one with Team Cap on Wakanda. I guess to me that's because the whole thing was built around them protecting Vision, but everybody sort of knew going in that Vision was going to bite the dust, so there wasn't really dramatic stakes there. Once again, not that it was bad, it just fell more flat for me than other parts. I think a large part of the reason is because Captain America is my favorite character and he gets very little to do in this movie, besides show up and kick butt. But he always does that. Now, that's just a personal gripe of mine, but did it impact my enjoyment? Yeah, so I'm going to mention it. Now, I will say he had a fantastic entrance with the train, and when he caught the spear, I was like, oh my goodness, it's... Now, based on the way this movie wraps up, I know Cap will have a lot more to do next time around, so I can put it in perspective. It's fine. Another negative I had is that I didn't care for Drax's role in the story. Now, in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, he was hellbent on getting revenge against Ronan because of what Ronan did to his family. And then in the end, he figures out that Thanos is his real enemy. And we get one scene in the movie where Drax loses his cool on Thanos, wants to get revenge, but for the rest of it, he's pretty much just comedic relief. So that was somewhat disappointing. And don't get me wrong, his jokes were hilarious, probably the best ones in the movie in my opinion. It also bothered me when Star-Lord screwed the universe for no good reason, so much for being a Guardian of the Galaxy. When they nearly get the glove off and then couldn't have waited a few more seconds. I've heard some people say that's out of character for him and he wouldn't have done that, but I disagree on that. I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 showed pretty much the same thing in that scene when, well, spoiler for Guardians 2, when Ego admits to putting the tumor in his mom's head and then he just loses it immediately, starts shooting him up. So I wasn't surprised when Star-Lord did this, but at the same time, few more seconds, man. I also have a minor gripe with the ending, that being, it would have been more bold to kill off the character, when everybody starts fading to dust. It would have been more bold to do that to the characters you didn't know are going to make it. I mean, as soon as I saw Black Panther and Spider-Man wisp away into dust, I stopped buying into it because I know, just from a marketing standpoint, what, you're going to kill off Black Panther? His movie is still killing it, and you're just gonna kill him off. And I don't think so. So that took down the stakes of the big battle for me. So I know some of those deaths are gonna get reversed. I kind of hope not all of them, because that would make it more impactful later. But so that pretty much does it for my negatives on this movie. Now I get into the stuff I loved, which is going to be way more fun to talk about anyways. So first thing I want to mention is how much I appreciate that Thanos won completely and uncontested in this movie. Admittedly, in that final fight sequence when Thor takes the, what was it called? The Stormbreaker axe hammer thing, and, right into Thanos' chest, I was like, what really? Is this it? What are they gonna do in part 2 now? Is that really it? I mean, that would be awesome if it was, but I don't think so. And then as soon as Thanos said, should have gone for the head, that's what I think every single time a villain dies in movies and TV, and it should have gone for the head, really. Thanos speaking my mind there. And then he snaps his fingers and boom! Half the life in the universe is gone. I mean, like I said, I have some gripes about that because I don't think it's going to actually last as permanently as maybe it should. I appreciate that in this movie, he won, because I did not expect it to end that way. I thought this movie would be, him gathering Infinity Stones, and then the Avengers would stop him, and then, maybe by the end he'd get all the stones, and things would be gearing up for that big mass extinction. But I was pleasantly surprised when he actually did it. So I have no clue where they're going. I love this movie pretty much from the get-go, when in the first 5 minutes, Thanos kills Heimdall, Loki, and beats down the Hulk so bad he's too scared to come out for the rest of the movie. Now, that's an opening. I think Thanos killing Loki is a really big statement, because Loki up to this point has been the biggest bad in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Thanos just snaps his neck like he's nothing. So if that doesn't tell you how powerful a villain Thanos is going to be right there, I don't know what would. And it was that moment that genuinely added stakes to the movie for me. I was saying before how I was on the edge of my seat throughout the entire movie. And that's because from that opening alone, I was genuinely scared whenever Thanos showed up. I didn't know who he was going to kill next. Every single time he was in a scene with one of my favorite heroes, I'm like, oh no, maybe they're going to die. The death that was most shocking to me was when he killed Gamora. I thought one of his daughters was going to die, but I thought for sure it was going to be Nebula. I never even considered Gamora as a candidate to be killed off, and her death was really emotional. Like, really emotional. It was really well done. I'll get into why just in a little bit. Just a little bit on the Hulk. I really like that Banner had to be the hero for a change. Up to this point, he's been really scared of the Hulk, trying to come out. He's been doing everything he can to keep the Hulk inside him, and now that he really needs the Hulk's not coming out. So that led to some really good humor. My absolute favorite parts for this movie were anything that had to do with Thor and Gamora. I think out of such a massive ensemble cast, Chris Hemsworth and Zoe Saldana were the standouts by far. They brought it to a totally different level. My favorite scene in the entire movie is when Thor's talking to Rocket Rabbit about how everybody he knows is gone. His father, his mother, his best friend was killed, his brother, everybody, and now he's got nothing left to fight for. Chris Hemsworth really sold that scene. He was so fantastic. And Zoe Saldana as Gamora, I was not expecting Gamora to be one of my favorite characters in the movie going in, but she really sold it. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Thanos has her and Star-Lord's got the gun to her head and she's begging him to kill her. That was great stuff. I mean, it's really dark and terrible stuff, but you know what I mean, dramatically speaking, great stuff. And I know it's not going to be permanent, but I think the scene that got me more emotional than anything was when Spider-Man died. I'm not feeling well, Mr. Stark. I don't want to go. That got me. Besides Chris Hemsworth and Zoe Saldana, my other two favorites were Robert Downey Jr. and Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange and Tony Stark. Their interplay was some of my favorite in the entire film. It was a real treat seeing all the heroes who have never met join up. And speaking of Doctor Strange, I think it was very intentional that he gave Thanos that stone. I don't think it was him just being a good guy. I think that in the one possible future he saw where they win, Tony Stark needed to live. And in that moment where he gave Thanos the stone, he saved Tony's life so that he could fight another day. And I'll also make a bet that he knew he was going to be one of the people to fade out of existence when Thanos did it. So that's been my review of Avengers Infinity War. I'd appreciate you leaving a like, a comment, and hit that notification bell too, because apparently that's important now. I apologize if this was a little bit rough. It's the first time I've ever tried a video like this before, so any feedback is appreciated. Want to make it as awesome as possible going forward. Till next time.